20. Thank you for choosing Fox 14. I'm Sarah Scarlett. First on Fox, a daycare surrounded by scandal is forced to close its doors for good. But parents say this fight has only just begun. They tell Fox 14's Chelsea Jones this daycare was more than just a daycare. It was a family. Chelsea?
Sarah, even after several reports of child abuse, one mother tells me she drives 30 minutes out of the way just to take her daughter to the Assembly Kids Care in West Monroe. News of the center closing leaves her and her child devastated. A daycare's reputation put on the line after reports of child abuse now closed, and parents are at a loss for words.
I'm completely heartbroken.
In September, the Assembly Kids Care had its license revoked after failing to properly notify the Louisiana Department of Education of its most recent report of child abuse. Upon further investigation, the Department of Education found several instances of child abuse that occurred. Initially, it scared this mother, but ultimately her mind was put at ease.
Seeing Kids Care take the actions that they did made me feel comfortable.
So when Monica McNair got the call that Kids Care would be shut down, she had to find child care alternatives. She says all daycares in town are full, making the struggle that much more difficult. Luckily for her, she has a village.
I have parents that love my child and will help me take care of her. I have a friend that is helping me.
But not everyone is so lucky.
I don't feel that the entire facility should be punished.
Child care professional Kristen Claiborne says the state could have implemented stricter rules instead of a complete shutdown.
Enforcing of the background, enforcing the policy more, enforcing the rules more.
McNair says this closure is like breaking up a family.
She's so happy there. And you're not going to find nowhere else to love your child like that.
She says all that's left to do is fight.
We're going to hold the faith and know that Kids Care is going to open back up.
Now, I went to the Assembly Kids Care earlier this afternoon, and directors say at this time they are unable to comment due to legal reasons. In the studio, Chelsea Jones, Fox 14 News.
Thanks, Chelsea. The center will be open tomorrow from noon until 6 p.m. for parents to gather their children's belongings. Tuition will also be refunded to any parent that has prepaid and or if you are owed of any credits. If anyone has further questions beyond Tuesday, center directors ask that you call 318-387-1500. To the courts now, jurors will be brought in from another parish in the trial of a Louisiana mother charged in the burning death of her 6-month-old son. Hannah Barker will still be tried in Natchitoches. She's accused of asking her girlfriend Felicia Marie Nicole Smith to kill her son Levi Cole Ellerby. Smith also is charged with first-degree murder after allegedly putting the infant in a roadside ditch, dousing him with gasoline and setting him on fire. Barker told police 2 men knocked on her door, pepper sprayed her, and kidnapped her son. Ellerby was found with third and second-degree burns covering 90% of his body. He died a day later. The state has said it's seeking the death penalty for Barker. Her trial date will be set once it's determined from where the jurors will be selected. It's unclear when Smith will head to trial. A hearing in her case is scheduled for tomorrow. An Arkansas woman struck and killed by a vehicle over the weekend. The wreck happened Sunday just after 4 a.m. in Union County. Bridget White was walking along the 3700 block of West Nick Springs Road. She was struck by a 2002 Ford Explorer. The driver of that SUV has not been identified. Specifics about the crash have not been released, and White's body was sent to the Union County Coroner's Office for autopsy. New at 9, today we celebrate our nation's heroes, members of the military. After completing their military duties, many face challenges when they return home. Fox 14's Gabrielle Pfeiffer spoke with officials on the efforts to ease the transition back to the real world.
Not a day goes by that Lieutenant Christopher Lutman doesn't reflect on his days serving in the United States Air Force.
It was just really neat, all the doors that opened up through that unit there.
Lieutenant Lutman enlisted in the military right out of high school. He took on multiple roles as a security officer and even served as an Air Force Honor Guard. That training prepared him for his career in law enforcement, making the road to civilian life a little less complicated.
That transition was fairly easy for me. For others, it may be difficult depending on the circumstances that they experience while they're in the military.
Senator Trent Gardner believes there are plenty of resources for anyone transitioning from the military to civilian work.
All kind of job programs. Here in the state of Arkansas, we put if you're a National Guard member, you get certain kind of tuition absolutely free, which means you can go to college for free and get an education.
But when it comes to mental health,
what's not acceptable is the amount of veteran suicides that we have on a daily basis.
Senator Trent Gardner agrees, saying there is still a long way to go. The suicide rate among veterans in Arkansas is 3 times the national average. He and other state officials say they are working to get adequate funding and useful resources. In El Dorado, Gabrielle Pfeiffer, Fox 14 News.
Louisiana Delta Community College hosting its own event today to honor the men and women who have fought for our freedom. Today's tribute at LDCC had music, a guest speaker, and the presentation of the colors by Carroll High School's Color Guard. LDCC's chancellor says Veterans Day is always a big day at Delta Community College, as the college has many students who are U.S. military veterans.
Our freedoms are not free, as you all know, and I think it's only appropriate that we remember, and as our very excellent speaker today said, not only remember but commit ourselves to service to our country, whether you're civilian or military. Let's do something for someone else, and let's do common good and continue to take our great nation forward.
LDCC helps veterans transition from military to civilian life through the Upward Bound program. And we want to let you know about a special Veterans Day program coming up tonight right here on Fox 14. It's called Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve. It's a special program that we produce to highlight veterans and organizations who have stepped up to serve our great nation. Veterans Voices airs tonight at 9:30 right here on Fox 14. Community members in Rayville have been working for 2 years to build a giant cross on the side of I-20. This week, their dream is finally coming true. In 2017, Timmy Ray Timms came up with the idea to build a Salvation's Cross to bring hope to those driving on the interstate. Now, sadly, Timms was diagnosed with cancer and passed away in August. The community then came together to donate funds for land, construction, and materials, and the project officially started. After many obstacles, the cross is being completed this Wednesday.
And it's just amazing to us that God works in mysterious ways, and we thought he would make it through to build the cross, but instead I believe that God used his death to build the cross.
Timms wanted the cross to be a symbol of hope, love, and peace for those driving on the interstate. For more, you can search for the Salvation's Cross page on Facebook. And now on a different note, it is cold out there.
Gross.
Yeah.
I like the word gross.
You think gross is a better word?
Any word.
Wet and cold.
Yeah, it's just damp and grody out there at this point. Winds will continue to pick up tonight. They are howling already. Hard freeze is expected for Wednesday morning. We'll have a full look at the forecast next on Fox.
Thanks, Jared. Also coming up on Fox 14, like Jared said, cold weather is here, but are you prepared? We'll look at ways to stay warm and safe. Plus, a preview ahead of the most important week so far of the impeachment inquiry. What you need to know before Wednesday. All that and more is up next on Fox 14 News at 9.
Communa Health Services. New name, same quality care.
For the latest news on farming and energy that affects us right here at home, watch the Ag Energy Report.
The Ag and Energy Report, today at 7 on Fox 14, your morning news, sponsored by Goldman Equipment.
Tuesday on Fox 14, your morning news. Are you a veteran looking for a vacation? Travel guru Jane Gunn has the cruise lines that are offering discounts.
And Lexi has a look at the chilly weather headed our way this Tuesday starting at 7 here on Fox 14.
Has Eddie Rispone been looking out for Louisiana or himself? You decide. Rispone was vice president of this company, whose chairman was found guilty of bid rigging and fraud. Just months before the government indicted the corporation, Rispone followed private advice to liquidate his stock. Rispone got away with nearly $500,000, but thousands of workers lost their jobs. Eddie Rispone, he's always looked out for himself. Paid for and authorized by Gumbo Pack.
How liberal is John Bell Edwards?
That is a stupid question.
So liberal, he's backed by the Washington impeachment squad. So liberal, he's letting trial lawyers wreck car insurance rates. So liberal, he's giving illegal immigrants millions. And so liberal, he's playing the race card just to win an election. How liberal is John Bell Edwards?
That is a stupid question.
Too liberal for Louisiana.
Need service?
Need a repair? Click, call, or visit Ryan Chevrolet's Express Service Department. Quick, easy, convenient. Quality parts. Factory-trained technicians. No appointment necessary. We service all makes, all models. Ryan Chevrolet's Express Service Department offers the most competitive prices in town. Get a 6-quart synthetic oil change and tire rotation for $59.95 or an 8-quart synthetic oil change and tire rotation for $69.95. Click, call, or visit Ryan Chevrolet's Express Service Department.
Hi, this is the most wonderful time of the year here at the Paul Michael Company. I'm Debbie Michael, and I'd like to invite all of you to see the most exquisite, largest display of holiday decor in the South. Nothing says I'm home for the holidays like a snow globe. And don't forget to visit the tree lot. Don't forget to visit the Paul Michael Company for all your holiday needs.
Hi, I'm Ken with Ken's Coffee Service. We've been offering filtered water coolers to local businesses for 18 years. Now, due to popular demand, we're offering this service for residential use, featuring the countertop and standing version of my most popular cooler, which filter out the chlorine, color, and odor in your municipal water. This cooler also provides unlimited cold filtered water. There's no contract and no cost for installation. Call Ken's Coffee Service today, 361-0035.
Your State Farm agent in West Monroe is Kim Duke. Kim Duke State Farm.
Storm Tracker Doppler Radar, sponsored by bankruptcy attorney E. Orem Young. Now, Storm Tracker weather with Chief Meteorologist Jared Floyd.
The live Storm Tracker Doppler Radar brought to you by E. Orem Young. Still have plenty of steady rainfall across the region, although as the drier, cooler air continues to undercut a lot of this moisture, a lot of what you're seeing over Ouachita Parish and back into Morehouse Parish, Ashley County, a lot of that's struggling to reach the ground, or at least the rain is much lighter than what is indicated here. Now, the rain's a little bit more consistent as you move out on the leading edge across portions of Richland and Madison and Franklin parishes, all of that generally dragging eastward, but our initial boundaries already passed through. Winds are howling out of the north and northwest, and if they haven't gotten your attention yet, they will as we head through the overnight. Now, I know a lot of folks are already immediately thinking and seeing that turn to pink across southern Arkansas. There's no indications here that we've seen any kind of changeover, and that being said, a lot of the precipitation is starting to wrap up from north to south. Could we see a brief changeover with a sleet pellet or a snowflake mixed in? It's possible, but many of these locations are still seeing temperatures well above freezing. So again, not expected to be a big hazard for us. We've had some reports of sleet in central sections of Arkansas as the precip also starts to kind of ease on off to the east. But we'll keep an eye on any potential for changeover during the morning hours. Again, if anything, it'll be very brief. But also keep in mind that while we do have a lot of precipitation and a lot of wet roadways, we also have some very strong northerly winds, and those northerly winds will also in turn kind of help dry those roads off once the precip wraps up later tonight. Still at 42 in Monroe, 43 in Shreveport. You compare this to where many spots were 24 hours ago, and we've seen 20, 30, 40-degree drops over the last 24 hours. Camden's at 36 degrees, El Dorado at 38. So again, the big takeaway, even if you were to see a sleet pellet or something like that mix in across southern Arkansas, big takeaway, at least for now, is that you're still well above freezing. And also, given that, the likelihood of seeing that changeover is pretty slim. Winds, though, again, sustained at 24 miles per hour in Greenville, 15 miles an hour in Monroe, 18 miles an hour in Ruston. These are sustained winds, not gusts. We saw a 46-mile-an-hour wind gust during the 6 o'clock hour at the Monroe Airport. Still could see some 30 and 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts as we head through the late night. The wind chills overall will struggle to get out of the 20s in most spots through the course of the day tomorrow. So again, plan accordingly, layer up. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see wind chills in the teens, maybe the single digits to start the day as we go into the day tomorrow. We trade the wind out for just downright cold as we go into Wednesday morning. Lows tonight near 30. The rain will end from north to south. Again, any changeover would be very brief, no accumulation expected. High temperatures tomorrow near 40, and again, we'll spend most of the day in the 30s. Downright cold winds out of the north between 10 and 20 means wind chills in the 20s through most of the day. A hard freeze likely for Wednesday morning with many spots in the low 20s to start the day. Could see upper teens across southern Arkansas, and we could see some records fall in that regard as well. The thaw continues as we head toward the start of the weekend with highs in the low 60s by then.
That is so crazy to me.
Yep, and also those 60s still below normal for this time of year.
Wow.
So keep that in mind.
Okay, well, on that note, from space heaters to possible frozen pipes, the impending Arctic air mass will bring below freezing temps and possibly single-digit wind chills. And there are ways to safely prepare you, your family, and your home for it. Fox 14's Brian Briggs reminds us how to stay safe as we prepare.
Faucet covers, pipe insulation, and heaters have been flying off the shelves at Home and Ranch Hardware.
We've been steady rolling with them, kind of getting it every week, trying to get as much as we can to prepare.
Between fire and ice, here are some tips to keep you, your family, and your home safe during the cold weather.
Homes with exposed piping or crawl spaces will be most susceptible to busted pipes. And with official winter not even here yet, there are easy ways of keeping your pipes intact through the season.
Prepare early. You want to get it done and be done, that way you're not rushing, trying to get it after it's already busted or you're trying to fix it.
The cold also poses an indirect threat to your home.
The majority of the fires during the cold winter times are from space heaters.
The Louisiana State Fire Marshal's Office expects to see around 4 fires a night during the cold. Keeping heaters 3 to 5 feet from combustibles, plugging heaters directly into the wall, and keeping an eye on heaters can significantly reduce the chances of a fire. And if you have an old one, it's time to switch it out.
We recommend that you replace that space heater with a modern-day space heater that has a tip-over device where if it tips over, it shuts the heater off. Also, the interior thermocouple, that if the heater gets overheated, it shuts the heater off.
In addition to not overfilling fireplaces and keeping kitchen appliances off.
Number one, it's not designed to do that. When it's on high temperatures for a long period of time, that device will begin to break down and not work properly and cause the fire. So,
Reporting, Brian Briggs, Fox 14 News.
Now, there are options for those who are seeking free space heaters and smoke detectors. If you would like to find out more, you can head over to myarklamiss.com. Coming up on Fox 14, the mother of a missing Alabama girl may now be a suspect. We'll explain why investigators are shifting their focus towards her and where they've expanded their search.
It's the darkest time of the year. Headlight savings time. The best time to take care of the pairs in your life by replacing your basic bulbs with a fresh pair of whiter, brighter Sylvania bulbs. Because if a simple switch was all it took to protect your precious cargo, wouldn't you?
Want to take your X-Fi to the next level? Now you can with X-Fi Advantage, giving you enhanced performance and protection. When devices are connected to your home's Wi-Fi, they're protected, helping keep outsiders from getting inside. Plus, you get unlimited data, so you can stream, surf, and game all you want. With confidence, you can get coverage where you need it most. That's X-Fi Advantage. Get started with Xfinity Internet for $20 a month for 12 months. Or get 4 times the speed for just $10 more a month. Call, click, or visit a store today.
Liberal John Bell Edwards, so desperate, they're playing the race card. Listen.
What is the difference between David Duke, Eddie Rispone, and Donald Trump? They do not care about you or anyone who looks like you.
Disagree with their illegal immigrant tax and spend agenda, and the liberals call you a racist.
First it was the Muslims, then the Hispanics. Do you have any doubt what Make America Great Again really means?
John Bell Edwards, too liberal for Louisiana.
Paid for by Republican Party of Louisiana. Authorized by Eddie Rispone for governor.
We shoot you straight at Simmons Sporting Goods. Reward yourself with a Ruger American Predator rifle, just $399.99. Take aim at a great deal on the Nikon Buckmaster 2 3-9x40 rifle scope, only $89.99. Load up a new Beretta A300 Outlander shotgun, now $599.99. We're open 8:30 to 6 Monday through Saturday and noon to 5 on Sunday. Get 24 months, same as cash, or shop SimmonsSportingGoods.com.
Liberal John Bell Edwards.
I voted for Secretary Clinton.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Like Hillary, Edwards supports radical policies. Edwards supports illegal immigrants getting taxpayer-funded benefits and opposed President Trump's full immigration plan to secure our borders. John Bell Edwards, too liberal for Louisiana.
Vote John Bell Edwards.
Edwards out.
Paid for by RTA Right Direction PAC.
For years, I've been involved in the greater West Ouachita community, serving on many boards, assisting nonprofit organizations, including Smiles Park at Caroli. I sold my West Monroe business so I can use all these life experiences to be the best full-time representative for West Ouachita. My opponent works full-time at a local hospital, plus owns another business. The needs are great, and the challenges are many that require the next state representative's full-time attention. I'm Foy Gadberry, and I ask for your vote.
Fox 14 News at 9 continues.
It could be a pivotal week in the impeachment inquiry as the first public hearings begin on Wednesday. Ray Bogan is in Washington with the latest.
This week, 3 witnesses in the House impeachment inquiry will testify publicly. It marks a new stage in the investigation, though House lawmakers expect more witnesses to come forward. An associate of Rudy Giuliani's could soon become the next witness to talk with impeachment investigators. Fox News confirms Lev Parnas says he told a representative of Ukraine's government in May to announce an investigation into the Bidens or the United States would freeze military aid. The claim contrasts what the president and Ukrainian officials have said publicly, but underscores witness testimony alleging Giuliani was leading a shadow diplomacy.
Startlingly competent ambassador was fired, apparently because Rudy Giuliani and a bunch of shady Ukrainians didn't like the cut of her jib.
The report comes as the first public impeachment inquiry hearings are scheduled to begin this Wednesday. Republicans listing 9 witnesses they want to appear, including Hunter Biden and the whistleblower. Chairman Adam Schiff responding in a letter Saturday, saying having the whistleblower testify would be, quote, redundant and unnecessary.
The only way you can fairly deal with this issue is for us to find out who the whistleblower is. No American can be accused of a crime based on an anonymous allegation.
In a letter to Devin Nunes of the House Intelligence Committee, the whistleblower's lawyers say their client remains ready, willing, and able to cooperate by providing written answers to questions. It's an offer GOP lawmakers have so far rejected. In Washington, Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Former President Jimmy Carter is in the hospital. He was admitted earlier tonight to Emory University Hospital in Atlanta ahead of a procedure to relieve pressure on his brain. That's according to a statement posted to Twitter by the Carter Center. The pressure was caused by bleeding from his recent falls. Carter, who is 95, will undergo the procedure tomorrow morning. A Navy mom in Florida is now a person of interest in the disappearance of her 5-year-old daughter. The search for Taylor Rose Williams is expanding to Demopolis, Alabama. Police revealing that they now consider the girl's mother, 27-year-old Brianna Williams, a person of interest. Investigators say she is not cooperating. They believe she may have traveled back to her hometown of Demopolis with her daughter. Police releasing a picture of her black 2017 Honda Accord and asking the public to reach out if they've seen Williams in the car within the last 2 weeks. Williams is a U.S. Navy Petty Officer, first class at NAS Jacksonville. She reported her daughter missing last Wednesday. Up next, Jared has one last look at your 7-day forecast.